Hello and welcome to this month's Curator's Pick. Instead of featuring just one object this month, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I find exciting about being a curator. And that's finding unusual things in your collection. Sometimes it's tucked inside of a framed photograph. There might be a document inside or something written on the back of the photo that tells me something new that I didn't realize. And so that's always exciting. Sometimes it's written inside of a book and it tells me some new information about one of the Deere family and their descendants that lived in the Deere family homes. I've also found interesting things that had been discarded and then used to wrap an object. Sometimes it's something that they maybe didn't think was interesting, but definitely is to me as I research the family and the house. Sometimes I might find a note attached to an article of clothing that's in the collection. This was the case when I found a photograph, and I'll show you the photograph right now of Charles Deere Wyman dressed in a wonderful little linen sailor suit. I love the picture, but then a year or so later, I was going through another trunk in the attic and I found the suit. But attached to it, it said that it had once belonged to William Wyman. And that was Charles Wyman's father, who was born in Canada back in about 1860. So that was interesting. It was a suit that had been packed away and worn by William Wyman and then passed down to his oldest son, Charles Deere Wyman. A very special item that I just came across was this old newspaper. Folded up, stuck in amongst some other papers that I hadn't gone through yet. And it's quite fragile, been heavily taped, folded up, creased, and really quite brittle. But the headline that leapt out at me, Death of the President. And I did a double take and then realized that it was a newspaper, New York Herald, from April 15th, 1865. So it was the front page the day right after Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. So I realized that I had something much more special. And this is probably why one of the family members kept it. Now, Deere Wyman was built in 1872, so this was pre-Deere Wyman house. Charles and Mary Deere would have been married by then. They got married in 1860. But one of them packed this away, and here it's lasted till 2024. It's interesting to see this in person. I've seen a few for sale online. They go for quite a bit of money. The ones I've seen online, though, were in much, much better shape. But it's interesting to see a first look at the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. It talks about John Wilkes Booth and covers quite a bit of the page, but then there's also still an article about Jeff Davis and some of his followers following him. The Civil War had been declared over, but there was still a little bit of fighting going on. And so it's interesting to, again, see that first look the morning after Abraham Lincoln's assassination. Thanks for joining me this month, and I'll see you next time.